Okay. We're here with episode number 5, part 1, A Life of an Angel, a 100-year journey. It's a podcast with Grandma. The name of this episode is Life of an Angel. We're going husband and family. I'm here, Lonnie, and then we got Jordan. Drew's going to join us today. He's in town, so Drew's with us. And then, of course, we got the angel herself, Grandma Melbs. And then we got, come here, little man. Come here. You get in here a little bit.
He can take my spot.
No. And
Let's hook him
this is one of my grandbabies. This is Oliver. This is Jordan's son, Jordan and Julia's son. So I just wanted him to say hi too. No, he don't want to talk. But anyway, we'll go ahead and get started. I had to get him in there. I guess, Grandma, let's start by when did you meet Grandpa Phil?
Lonnie, I knew Grandpa Phil all my life. We grew up in the same little bitty town, and everybody knew everybody else.
Okay. When did you actually kind of start dating or whatever?
Yes, it was probably when I was 15, and he came. The bus used to take, on Saturday night, used to take anybody that wanted to go to Farmington to the movie, but it cost a quarter, and I didn't have a quarter, so I couldn't go, so I was feeling sorry for myself and heading home, and as soon as I got in the house, pretty soon that someone knocked at the door, and it was Phil, and he asked me if I wanted to go to the movie, and so I said sure, and so I went to the movie with him. That was the first time I went out with him.
Do you remember what movie it was?
No, I don't.
No?
They used to have double feature. You'd see 2 movies when you went over there.
And just to that note, Grandpa was probably one of the few in the area. It was probably quite a few, but with a vehicle, huh?
Yeah, it was just a family car.
Yeah, just because
Yeah.
it wasn't like it was now that all the kids have cars.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh,
So it's a whole different. But
It
he
was just
one.
a family car.
Oh, cool. So is that kind of the start of your dating from there on, or?
Yeah, that was just the first time, and then he came around a few more times, and then Phil was just in the 8th grade, and he graduated. Back then we graduated from grade school. He had an 8th grade graduation, and then I went to California and stayed with my sisters, and when I came back, then he started going out with me again. And
How old were you when we went back to California? Or over to California?
About 15.
15? And how old were you when you came back?
She stayed for the summer,
Oh,
right?
just stayed a few months in the summer.
Yeah, because her sister and brother were there.
Yes.
It was during the war.
And I do have a question here for you. So before he came and asked you that movie, did you even think about going on a date with him or have him in that?
Did you have any sweets?
Did you have any
Grams? sweets?
sweets for him before, or you had some sweets for someone else?
Just anybody that'd take me to movies. No, he wasn't a particular one that I looked at or cared about.
Okay.
Just went from there, huh?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So from there, obviously dated, then you decided you're going to get married. What year did you guys get married, Graham?
We got married in 1947. Let's
40.
see. Yeah, 47.
1947.
46.
46?
Anyway, when we were, I think I've told you before, but Phil graduated from high school in 3 years. And he was always behind me 1 year during school until senior year, and then he graduated in 3 years, so he graduated with us. And from graduation present, his dad gave him money to buy himself a new suit for graduation, and instead of him buying himself a new suit, he bought me a diamond engagement ring.
Oh, I didn't
And
know.
so he gave it to me for a present
Okay.
for graduation.
No, I
present.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
But after that, he went to college, right?
Then I thought that as soon as we got out of
Graduate.
school that we would get married, but then he suddenly announced he wanted to go to college, and so I was disappointed. But he talked to our school principal, and she encouraged him to go, and so he went. And we worked in Farmington for the summer, and then when it was time to go, he left and went to Las Cruces.
Yeah, he went to state down there.
Yeah, I had to ride the bus down there.
Mm.
And while he was down there, he had to take care of the prize bulls they had down there to help pay for it.
His schooling.
Yeah, or whatever. I don't know what it was, but he did that, and his dad wouldn't send him any money. He didn't want him to go, and he wouldn't help pay for it. So I was working, and I'd send him some. It wasn't just a small bit. But then, so when he came home at Christmas time, he decided he didn't want to go to school anymore because it was too hard to work and go to school too, and so then we decided to get married.
So, when you guys got married, what did you and Grandpa do for fun? Was there anything
After we got married,
after you got married? I know people have date nights or whatever.
No,
Did you guys
Brian.
have anything like that, or was it
just
it was different back then, obviously.
Yeah.
but-
And sorry, I just want to clarify something. So Grandpa was a grade below you growing up, so he was always a grade below you while you were okay.
But he's only a few months younger.
I was born in October and he was born the next February.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, so okay. So yeah, that would have been a grade. Okay. And another question I got is, where were you before he left? You said you guys worked in Farmington. What were you guys doing? Was it the same thing you were doing with what? You were selling sodas or something, or at the
No,
bus stop?
I worked at a bakery
Oh,
and he
okay.
worked at Smoke's Garage.
Smoke Chevrolet. I remember that. Wait, I don't. That's interesting. I didn't
what-
know
what-
that.
Was he turning a wrench, or what did he do?
Did he mechanic?
No, he just
Probably just cleaned the cars or something. like
did
that.
whatever. He was just a helper.
Yeah, just like a help.
And also, what was the school in Las Cruces?
It's
The
New Mexico
college.
State.
Is it New Mexico? Still
Yeah.
New Mexico State? Okay.
Yeah, it was state down there still at that time. Yeah, it's been there for a minute. So when you and Grandpa got married, Grandma, did I want to have 5 kids, I want to have 4 kids? Did you guys, or just,
We didn't even
That's-
discuss that.
you just, okay,
Yeah.
it just went, huh?
Yeah.
That's interesting, because I know everyone, Gidge and I wanted 6 kids, but she wouldn't do 6, but.
I think after you got 4, I think you were probably like, all right.
Yeah, 4's enough, but yeah. So when you guys got married, Grandma, how did he support you?
The first job he had was working on an oil well, and he would go out there and do whatever they asked him to on
Yeah,
an oil
that's-
well.
That's hard work too.
Yeah. And he worked there until we decided to go to the temple, and so we went and talked to the bishop, and he didn't even ask us any questions. He just threw down a piece of paper and said, answer the questions on there. So we just answered them. And then we went out had to go to a stake president, and one of the counselors was Oliver Stock, and he was driving down the road, and we hailed him down and got our temple recommends right there in the middle of the road.
Which temple did you go to, Grandma?
Then we caught the bus and drove to California and visited the kids there, the girls and Charles there for a while. And then we took the bus and went to Mesa, and we went through the temple at Mesa, and then we rode the bus back to Gallup. And when we got in Gallup, we had enough money to either go to the movie or get something to eat. And so we got a popcorn and went to the movie. And so when we got to Shiprock, we had enough to have one Coke that we could divide, so we got a Coke and divided it. And we went on home, and when we got home, we didn't know what we were going to do because he'd quit the job out on the oil well. The next day, this man came and knocking on the door, and it was a man that had bought the trading post that Phil's dad had been running for years, and he asked Phil if he'd go to work for him, and so we decided to go to the trading post. So we got things ready, and we moved out to Burnham Trading Post, and we stayed out there for several months, and then Brian's dad and all of their family had these liquor stores over on the road towards Grants, and so they wanted Phil to come and do that with them, and so he decided he wanted to do that. His dad told him not to, but he did, and then we went over there, and then he changed his mind, but we'd quit the job at Burnham's. Yeah, so we got down there, and it was hard for me to tell which part of our years we moved in different places, but Phil got in he left, and I didn't know where he was going to go. He said he's going to go find a job, and so then he ended up in Durango working for this man. His name was Elmo Palmer, and I don't know if you ever heard of him.
No, I haven't heard that one.
But he was building houses up there, brick houses. And so Phil carried hod, if you know what that is. So we moved up there and lived. That's when we lived on the river, and we had a tent, and so we lived up there on the river. And he went back and forth to work. And then Clayton Bond and Jack Palmer lived up there too, and
I didn't know that.
I cooked for all three of them.
Oh.
And so we were there for, I don't know how long. And then we came back, and one time we worked for another man on a store there in Farmington. And then we got an offer to go to Keams Canyon and work in a trading post there. And so we loaded up our vehicle. It was a mighty vehicle, too. And easy to see, it didn't hardly run, but we went out to Keams Canyon. We lived out there for, that was after Melanie was born. We lived out there for probably a couple of months, maybe 3 months. And then we were told that another man had an opening in Gallup for a trading post around there, and so we moved back over there, and that's when we went to work for out of Pinedale. Mm-hmm. And then the same fellow told us he had Hunter's Point, and he told Phil he would sell it to him, and so we moved Hunter's Point, and we bought that store. And from then on, it was just one trading post after the other.
Yep.
You said Hunter's Point?
Hunter's Point.
Where's it? Do you know where? I don't know where that's at.
You know where Window Rock is?
Oh, okay.
So it's out there.
Okay, it's in that direction.
Okay.
You leave, you don't go clear to Window Rock, but there's a road that cuts off there that goes, part of it goes to Ganado, and the other one goes back through St. Michael's and clear back out to the main highway.
I know the area you're talking about, yeah.
So we were out there until after Teresa was born. Actually, until after Joel was born. And then we moved into Gallup and lived in Gallup the rest of the time we worked.
So was Grandpa just driving back and forth when you guys moved to Gallup then?
He did.
Yeah, okay.
And he had a plane too.
Yeah, I did see. This is where This is where the plane starts. Yeah, and even Uncle Joe has some stories about that, I think. But
it was Phil while we were still at Hunter's Point. He took pilot lessons, and he would take that plane off and land it right in front of the store and scare those Navajos half to death. Then then after we moved to Gallup, he bought this plane, and then he would fly out to Pinon, and that was the main one he flew to. And so one day he took Joel with him, and they got up above the clouds, and they couldn't find. Phil would never pay any attention to the instruments, just drove by sight. And so they got up there, and they couldn't see where to land, and they flew. And couldn't find a break in the clouds anywhere. And so finally they did spot a break, and they went down and spotted Pinon, and he tried to land the plane, but it didn't work out, and he had to pull back up, and so they got above the clouds again. So they couldn't see where to land or where they were going. And you have to know that the good Lord was watching over him, because said he was fast running out of gas. And so then he finally found an opening in the clouds and went down through, and he was almost over Gallup.
Wow.
So he flew down and landed at Gallup.
So when he would land in these, was there an airstrip, or would he land on the road?
There was
Dirt roads.
It's down the the road, wherever,
Yeah.
Then we had Mr. Edwards that worked for us, and so Phil was bringing him back one day, and they ran out of gas. Phil, you only put a pint in when,
That was good.
and so he landed the plane out there by the power plant by El Paso, and then they had to catch a ride in, and he had to haul some gas back out there.
Now we're talking a plane. This is in the air. This is not just something on the ground.
Yeah, so I'm
It's a
trying to
whole
get
different-
I'm trying to get a picture. Was this plane like a covered? Was it a single, or was it,
It was,
uncovered?
no, it was just
Just a light plane.
Yeah, it was a prop plane.
Yeah,
It's a
so it was
single prop.
uncovered. Were those ones where you have to wear the goggles? It had a cap to it. I wasn't sure what.
I rode in it once or twice and got
Did
scared.
you?
I was so scared, yeah.
So I'm trying to think, because the only trading posts I remember is Crown Point, Chalchimbato, and Dennehotso. I'm trying to even think, how many trading posts did he actually over the years?
Well-
Several, huh?
Oh, yeah, quite a number.
Those are the only three that I remember.
Yeah. When we were living in Gallup, we had Pinedale, Hunters Point, Sawmill,
Oh, I
Smith
didn't know.
Lake,
Oh, okay. Wow.
and a couple others.
Did he just have someone running him for him? He
Oh,
would
yeah.
just bounce
yeah,
back
we,
and forth?
we had somebody running him, and he would go back and forth
That's,
and haul merchandise out to him.
that's cool. Yeah, I didn't know he had so many, though.
Oh, he did. And then we also had a gas company where I don't know what you call it, a gas company, but anyway, we had a tank where they could deliver gas to us, and then we'd put it in a truck with a tank on it, haul it to
to the stores.
the store.
Oh, I didn't know that. Did he drive that? Or he had a driver, I
He had
hope.
to drive.
Yeah. Grandpa with the fuel truck is even scary.
So with all this back and forth and they run those, like, how often did you guys see each other? Was it days at a time? Would you go days without seeing him? We go make just a day trip back there and back? No?
Yeah, he always came home in the evening.
Oh, okay.
Because I know Dennehotso and Chalchimbato, because I would stay out there with him. I know we had trailer out there, places to stay, but I was in high school
That was,
later.
yeah,
It was like the early 80s or whatever.
that was later.
Yeah, later on that, not the
Yeah.
start part of it. So, yeah, that was cool. So, Grandma, where did you guys buy a house in Gallup? That was your first house as a
We,
married couple?
we
you
bought 3 houses in Gallup. We bought the first one, and we lived there for, probably a couple of years, and then we bought another one, and we lived there till after Blaine was born. And then we moved into the last one. We lived in 3 different houses.
Okay, I didn't know that. And so, when you guys, why did you decide to move back to Kirtland?
I didn't,
Or
but the powers that be said he was moving back to Kirtland, and I could go or I could stay.
okay, so you guys, so he decided you're moving back to Kirtland, huh?
Absolutely.
And you didn't like that move. Did you like it in Gallup?
I did.
Yeah,
I really liked it.
Gallup's an interesting place.
The thing is, we had made a lot of friends
Absolutely.
and in the church, and we all had entertainment together. We had dances, we had different things and parties, and I really didn't want to go, but
What was the deciding factor for him? Why did he want to leave?
Why did he go to Kirtland?
I'll tell you something about your grandpa. He, excuse me, he was a man that liked, I guess I'll call it admiration or something like that. He didn't care about the money. You know him. He would
Oh,
throw
no, I understand that part
rat
of it, yeah.
old pickups and
No, money was not a thing to him, or
it
showing
was-
money off or whatever.
No, it
No,
wasn't. It was
No.
having people recognize what kind of a businessman he was and la-di-da.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you went back to Kirtland, when did you get that? When did is that when he started the lumberyard and stuff, or no?
Just a farm.
Just had the lower farm? Is that the first one, the first area? Okay. I couldn't remember. And then so after you guys had the farm for a while, is that when you went to the lumberyard and the feed store and all and did that later on down the road? Yeah, because I don't know, guess I was pretty young when I do remember the lumberyard and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was just a lumber yard.
Oh,
then-
was the feed store is added on later?
Quite a bit later. It was
Okay,
just a-
I guess I just remember it when it was just the feed store and the lumberyard then.
It was just a lumber yard, and then we built a laundry,
The laundry and then the feed store.
and then the pawn shop.
Okay.
We didn't have a feed store.
So what year was this when you moved back from Gallup to Kirtland?
It was after Blaine was born then, huh?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
And Brook. It was in 1961 or 62.
Okay.
Is that when you got the old house in Kirtland?
Yes.
So you bought that as soon as you came back?
Yes.
When you moved back, you
Before-
got the old house?
Before we
Okay.
moved back, we bought it.
Which is from Grandma's house, the old house that was down just where Marty lives.
Oh, okay.
There was an old house there. I have a lot of memories of that old house.
Then we added on to it.
Did you? It was added on to a few.
Yeah, we added bedrooms because they didn't have near enough bedrooms for the house. So
Yeah,
we built 3 bedrooms and a bath on the side.
yeah. I remember the house. I was pretty young, but I do remember the house. That was I have a lot of memories there. For some reason, what stands out is the mulberry tree in the back.
Well, there.
Is it still there? Does it still produce? Probably, huh?
Yeah.
Me and Marty used to eat those things. And then the big sunflowers. Remember the big sunflowers in the backyard?
I don't know if it's still there.
Yeah, there's some big, and they produce some sunflowers too, which I thought was pretty cool. But okay, Grandma, let's start with the kids. And maybe if you just want to go through the kids and the year they were born, then like I said, we'll come back and start talking about each of your children on a podcast. But if you want to start with that.
Our oldest one was Melanie, and she was born when we were still living in Farmington. And she was just the most beautiful baby ever born. And she was born in 47. And then we were already out to Hunters Point before we had Teresa. And Teresa was very beautiful when she was born. And so Phil's dad didn't have much tact, and so he said to Melanie, "Don't you wish you were as pretty as your sister?" And that just hit Melanie wrong, and
She was not happy with that.
no, and she didn't like Teresa for many years, almost until they were grown.
Really?
And then I already had the first 4 kids before we moved from Gallup.
So all of them were born in Gallup then? Like Blaine?
All of them except Teresa. Not Teresa.
Darla.
And of course, I adopted Marty.
Joe was next, right?
Joe was after Teresa, and then Blaine. But after I had Joe, then I became pregnant, and I had it's going to sound awful.
No, you're fine.
I had
Do you
a
need some water, girl?
probably help.
Did we got some water?
And I had a pregnancy, and then I had felt the first movements of life, and then all of a sudden I didn't feel anymore. So I went to the doctor, and he said, I just miscalculated. Thank you. He said, I wasn't as far pregnant as I said I was. And I said, yes, I was, because I knew when I started feeling life. And so, yeah, they finally aborted the baby, and it had been dead ever since about 3 months. So there was quite a few more years between Joel and Blaine because of that.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. And then Blaine was born in Gallup too, then, right?
Yes, so was Brooke.
And Brooke was next, right?
Then I had Darla.
And she was in Farmington, right?
Yes.
And then Marty,
Then Marty.
you adopted, right?
Yes. Do you want me to tell about Marty?
Yeah, please.
Darla wasn't even quite 2 years old, and Phil's sister had adopted all of her children. I don't know if you remember Alan Dean and Jerry and that bunch. Anyway.
They don't know.
Anyway, she had adopted all of her kids, and she stopped by our house one day and said that the lawyer in Albuquerque had called her and said there was a lady that had given birth to a boy, and they were going to give it up for adoption. And she said, but we don't want it, because if we adopt again, we want a girl. And so Phil said, we'll take it. And I was so angry, I just felt like punching him in the nose. And I didn't say anything. And then after Catherine left, then Phil said to me, you don't want to have the baby? And I said, Phil, I've given birth to all these kids, and the doctor had already told me I couldn't have any more kids, and I got rid of our crib and everything that I'd kept for the babies. And I said, I don't. And he said, okay, then we won't get him. And of course, that put the guilt trip right on my shoulders. And so I said to him, let's pray about it, and if the Lord wants me to have this child, I'll take it. And so that night we knelt together and prayed about it. And the next day we went out to the trading post, which was Little Water. And when we got out there, then they called us and said the lady had reneged and she wasn't going to give the baby up for adoption. And so that was that. And then about half hour later, they called and said, yes, she was going to give the baby up for adoption. And if we wanted it, we had to be over there the next morning at such and such time. So Phil said, you better go to town and buy what you need. And so I went to town and back then we had to buy diapers, and got everything I needed. And then the next morning we Phil's sister went with us, and we went over to Albuquerque, and I met at the lawyer, and he said we had to pay the lawyer fees. Then we went over to the hospital, and they told me, now you stay down here. And so I had to wait down in the foyer or wherever it was, I can't remember. But then the lawyer went up to where the baby was born, and pretty soon he came down carrying that little baby boy, and he was the cutest thing. He had all this red hair, and he was just darling. So I took him, and he was mine forever after.
And so many blessings with Marty. That's what
Yes.
from there.
He's been nothing but a blessing ever since we.
Great. Yeah, that's great blessing there. I spent a lot of time with Marty when I grew up. It was a lot of fun.
And when he was older, he was coming from Albuquerque, and he got a call, and this lady said, were you born in Albuquerque on such and such a date? And he said, yes. And she said, I think I'm your natural mother.
When was that?
I don't remember exactly what year it was, but it was
It's
after
been-
he was a man.
It's been a while. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
And because he was married and
Right.
everything.
I guess I didn't know that.
And so she said, I sure would like to meet you. And he said, I'll ask my mother. So he called and asked me, and I said, absolutely, of course. And so he got to meet her. And then I think it was the next summer, she came and stayed with us for a few days. And So I got to meet her too, and
That's interesting.
yeah.
Very interesting. One other question I do have, Grandma, do you remember about what year you built the house and you moved from the old house? Do you remember about what year?
Yeah.
Was it the early 80s or
The
something?
late 70s.
Was it? Okay, I couldn't remember. I have a few memories of the old house. I was 6,
Well,
7 years
Brooke
old.
was a senior, so I think it was probably 78 or something like that.
Okay. I have a lot of memories of the newer house,
Yeah.
obviously, but
Yeah.
I have a few. I can remember a few things about that older house.
Yes.
I was pretty little then, but that was fun. And then I remember you guys rented it out, but yeah.
And then they burned it down.
And then they burned it down. And yeah, that was interesting. All right. Yeah, so like I said, Grandma, the next one, we'll start talking about the kids. So the next podcast, actually, we want to talk about the Fouts family a little bit. If you'll do some background a little bit, maybe we'll talk a little bit about Grandpa's part of the family. And then we'll go to talking about each of the kids in a little bit and their grandkids, each of their kids. We'll talk a little bit about each kid in the next several podcasts. Drew, I think, has got a question for you. I've never heard of this, so I don't know.
Yeah, so I know you guys started getting properties and stuff as like time went on. Did you guys ever own any property in Las Vegas? Did you guys own any property where the strip is located now? So that is true.
See, I didn't. I guess maybe I've heard of it.
So how did that come to be, and why was it sold?
Okay, his cousin owed us a debt, and we took that as a payment of the debt. Phil had loaned him some money, and he couldn't pay it back, so it was a motel, and it was not right in the middle of the strip, but it was just down a little ways.
Little ways.
And so Melanie Moreau and I ran it for a little while.
I have heard this story. I've heard this story.
Yeah, and
Okay, I remember.
then Phil just sold it, and if he would have kept it, he would have been a millionaire just on that place.
Just on that land,
Oh,
yep.
just selling that
Just
property.
right
Okay, now I do remember that because I remember Melanie and Moroni and the hotel. You said the land, and I was thinking, but the
Well, yeah,
I do
because
remember stories
motel,
about
so
that.
I was like, oh.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that would have been worth millions and millions.
Yeah.
Oh yes, it
exactly.
would have. It would have.
I think that
But
land's
like
now a
you
baseball
said,
stadium.
Grandpa
He did.
care about money.
Yeah.
He honestly didn't.
Oh, he did.
It was,
I wonder what year did he sell it?
man, that would have been early 70s.
Probably
right?
early 70s, yeah.
Oh man, if he would have held on for 20 years, oh my
It'd have
goodness.
been, yeah.
Absolutely.
We might all be living somewhere real
Yeah.
nice right now, Graham.
Yep.
That's probably a good thing. I probably would be not alive if I didn't have any kind of morals. If we had a bunch of money, that was good. If I was a spoiled little rich kid, that was the character.
Money.
Yeah,
money's-
that was a prime piece of property.
Yeah, if
But
it was. Yeah.
he didn't care.
No, that was
is pretty.
Grandpa Phil.
That's pretty crazy.
We had plenty of money, and we also had another place there. We didn't own the place, but the guy that owned it let Phil empty the machines because he had machines in his, you know what I mean.
The slot machine.
slot
Yeah.
machines, yeah.
Had some of his in his place, and I can't even remember what it was, a bar maybe, or I don't remember. But Phil would go down there every so often and get all that money and bring it up, and it was all like in quarters and give it to me and tell me to take it to the bank.
So you'd have
Well-
to roll it up or what?
I couldn't know, but I couldn't hardly even carry it. And so I would take it down there, and they'd run it through the machine and then tell me how much it was and put it in the bank.
That's crazy. But I do have one more question. I remember you got in an accident, right?
Yes,
A pretty bad accident where you broke your leg? Was it
broke
your,
my kneecap.
Okay, and that was just down from the house, right? On the
Yes.
old Kirtland Road. Did a drunk? What happened? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
hit us head on.
Hit you head on, and that was in that. Was it that silver car or?
I can't remember what car it was.
Because who was in there? Was Grandpa in there? Or was it just you?
And Grandpa and Marty.
Yeah, and Marty was in there too. I do remember.
Yeah,
that.
I had reached my arm across to protect Marty because I saw it coming, and then my knee hit the dash
And just crushed it.
broke my kneecap.
Yeah.
and Phil hit the windshield and cut
Messy
Ace
stuff.
a little bit.
It was a pretty, yeah, I do. I've heard stories of that one too.
Yeah,
I was real little though at that point,
yeah.
but
Marty was pretty little.
yeah, and it was probably just stories but for some reason were you on crutches another time? 'Cause I just remember you being on crutches for some reason. I would have been too small to remember that, I would think, but I don't know. It just seems like it, but there could be something, yeah. But anyway, yeah, Grandma, we'll close. That was very enjoyable. That I learned a lot there. That was fun.
Yeah.
So the next one, if you don't mind, we'll talk a little bit about the Fouts family and a little bit about that, and then maybe you can give us a little bit of background of what you know of the Fouts family and Grandpa's side of the family a
Yeah.
little bit. That was good. That was fun. Okay.